Hello, everybody. This is Danny Vegas, and we again are doing our signature series of interviews with youth sports people all around the world. And this week we got a hang a star on this one. Call the doctor. This is huge. Sebastien Fortier, welcome to the show. One Hockey. Unbelievable that you're here today. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, Danny. It's a pleasure.
Oh, you betcha. Okay, we're going to go right down the list here. We're going to ask you some questions. You're going to tell us all about this amazing platform you have. I went on the website. Oh, my goodness, there's just so much. I don't know how you can keep it straight, man. I just don't know how you can keep all that straight.
I was talking to my mom yesterday, and she's like, "Oh my God, how can you run all this, and how can you sleep at night?"
Well, I don't know how you know. Well, I did produce soccer tournaments, and there was some sleepless nights, I can tell you. But let me ask you this. How did you start One Hockey? How did this all come about?
Well, to make it not so crazy long and keep it interesting, my dad used to run a tournament in my hometown here in Sherbrooke, Quebec, where I am right now. I'm actually in a little suburb of Sherbrooke called Johnville, small town. Maybe 1,000 people live here. How many people live here, Andre? Around 1,000. So my dad took over a tournament back in 1989, and then they gave him the job to make it a big event. So he did this his way, and 4 years later, he had teams in his tournament from 12 countries. And that's before the internet, that's before the cell phones, that's before any of that. So it was communicating by fax with all these guys. It was crazy to see. It was a show. My dad was a crazy man. But he did this for 10 years, and I got to see him do this, and I got to really enjoy his tournaments because I would go watch games, and I even played it when I was 14. So when I stopped playing, because I played minor pro, I was playing in Phoenix towards the end of my career. I decided to stay in Phoenix because I liked the weather. Didn't want to come back to Quebec. Too cold, too much rain. I started coaching hockey and moved to California at one point, and then I was taking my teams to different tournaments, and really all of them were not well organized, nothing compared to my dad's tournament at all. So I got frustrated after a while. I'm like, Dad, I got to start my own tournaments here. This is not what I expected from a tournament. And I went to Toronto, Calgary, Edmonton, Colorado. I was all over the place with my teams. So that's how I started One Hockey really in 2004.
Because, you know, when it comes to youth sports, everybody does tournaments. They're thick as thieves, I'm sure, and you know them all. But what makes you the number one guy in this space as far as all the other tournaments?
Well, our tournaments are fun. They're like an event, right? Other tournaments, not all of them, but many of them, you show up at the rink, you provide your roster, or they have a roster already printed, and you go in your locker room, you get dressed, and you go play. And then you go back to the hotel and you go have fun in the pool or this and that or the dinners. Our rinks, our tournaments are alive. You walk into the rink, there's a mascot greeting you in. There's music playing outside, outdoor. There's music playing indoor. There's different vendors that are set up. The rink is decorated. You walk into arena number one. Let's say there's a stoppage of play while music starts. Right, so we keep things fun. We have player of the games. The whole rink comes alive. Like I said, we do player interviews sometimes. You get to the championship game. We have some, non-alcoholic champagne for the kids with the celebration and the mascot and the interviews and all the MVPs and the words. So it's an experience. So when you come to One Hockey once, you're gonna remember this experience forever. Your players will, your parents will, and then you mostly will look at coming back in other events.
Okay, where are your tournaments and how many do you have? Sounds like you have. It's just amazing how many you put on.
Yeah, well, in the U.S., U.S. is the bulk of a business. We have, I don't even know how many we have in the next 12 months. I would think maybe 25, 30, something like that. They are all over the U.S., from California to Vegas to New Mexico, Colorado, Midwest, Minnesota, Illinois, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Florida. I mean, I'm forgetting probably a few states here and there, but we're all over. Uh, and those are mostly during the season, September to March. But also we have a whole bunch in the off season, which starts in April and goes all the way until June. So those are for like spring hockey teams.
You told us a little something about you're going global. I mean, we're going international here.
Yeah, we are going to Europe. We were in Sweden last April. First time in Stockholm. We brought 4 teams from North America. That was the first time that we had to do the whole setup, right? The food setup, the bus, the pickup, the what time's the game, the uniform, because we provide uniforms for all these teams. The hotels, of course, we have a group doing the hotels, but it was a lot of different things we never done before, and we did a really good job, and people were really happy with the event. So I'm kind of a crazy guy. So this next year we have 8 events in 6 countries, and we're going to see over 100 teams from North America in Europe, and this is a very special program. We have groups, spring program groups, summer program groups, or winter groups that are building teams in their region. We call them the One Hockey Ambassadors. There's people all over North America that have teams. They're going to be building teams. Individual players can join these teams. They can apply as a player, fill out a player application,
Right.
which may require a highlight video, so we can see the level of the kid. These guys, these ambassadors, if they have a spot on a team or 2 teams, they can take these players and add them to the roster. This is AAA level, so it's good. It's good hockey. If you play AA and you're a very good AA player and you could play AAA, then you might be able to play in these events. And we have tournaments, and so we start in March. We have Czech Republic in April. We have Sweden. Then we go in June. June 20th, we start again. We have Finland, Estonia, Hungary, Latvia, and then Finland, Estonia again. So we have 8 events in Europe. So it's a big undertaking, but our staff is incredible, and we have all of our dotted our I's and the T's, whatever you call that, the T's.
I don't know how you have time to go visit your mom. I don't know how you do it.
Well, it's all about automations now. It's all
Right.
about, you can't just copy paste all day. You have to use technology, which we do.
Right.
We design a registration system for these tournaments in Europe, even a registration, a lead system for those players that are going to want to come to Europe, and they're going to fill up these forms. They're all going to land in the same area. They're going to be dispersed by area. So if they're from Nevada, we have a group called Team One Hockey, Arizona, Nevada. So those 2 states are together. So if you're from these 2 states, you got to play on that team. If there's no tournament that you can attend, but you're good enough, then you will fall in a free agent pool, and then somebody else will invite you on their team. But the system we've built is we work with people in India, and it's quite the system. It's really impressive. All of our ambassadors are going to go in there and look at the players and fill their teams and see who their rosters are and how many more spots they have, and it's pretty exciting to start this big program. So these European tournaments, we have 8 this year. Once we do this, and they're all full right now, pretty much. We have teams that every event is pretty much sold out with the teams from the ambassadors. Now they have to fill their teams. They have to build their teams. They're going to start doing that this week. Once that's done, and this year is done, next year we'll have probably 20 tournaments in Europe in 14 countries.
We would like to know a memory of either yourself as a kid or your family. Tell a short story about your best memory of youth sports. The one that you're going to remember your whole life. Scoring the goal to win the game, or the travel with all your team, and you came in first place, or something that when I say, hey, Sebastien, tell me a story from when you were youth sports, what's the first one that comes to mind?
Well, youth sports, that's before professional, right? So that's when you're not an adult yet, or you're
15, 16, 14?
Well, I have to say it was. There's I could tell you one when I was 17 when I went to the Montreal Canadiens training camp,
Okay.
and I was invited there because I didn't get drafted, so I was invited, and I had an incredible camp, and they decided to I got hurt the game before because I got in a fight and my shoulder dislocated when I punched a guy, my shoulder came out, so I had to get surgery. So Jacques Lemaire, which is very known in the hockey world, uh, he's met with me the next day and he says, "Hey, we were going to play you 7 or 8 games, and we really like the way you play. And now we don't want to lose you, and you're done. You need a surgery, so you're done, and we don't want to lose you. So we're gonna sign you under a 3-year contract."
Wow.
So that was the best day of my life in the youth sports, which was junior hockey is
Right.
a little bit above youth, a bit before pro. I mean, I have some stories when I was younger, of course, but that's definitely the one that I never forget about.
When you actually got signed.
Yeah.
For a 3-year contract with the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
Man.
That day, when I got to my hotel that day, I changed. I think I put some shorts on or jeans on, and I was on a cloud. I was on a cloud all day, and I remember getting into a subway. I didn't even know where I was going in the subway, but I just got in and I just got out eventually, and I went to a store and I bought a hat. I remember I bought a football hat or a baseball hat. And I was just so happy. I was walking on a cloud. Eventually, I had to ask, like, how do I get back to my hotel? Like, I don't even know what subway to take. And I finally found my way back, and it was quite a day.
I bet it was. Man,
Yeah.
that's a great story, Sebastien.